Up in a panel on Renaissance English and how it affects the French culture. Thank you for joining us. Or alternate currencies, one of the two. Let's start by some introductions. I'll introduce you. I'm Paul Snow. I'm at fault for this conference, and I am peripherally involved with Ethereum. My background is scripting, interpreters, and compilers, and so I'm particularly attracted to the script in Ethereum. Go ahead.
I'm Luke Jr. I got involved with Bitcoin late 2010. I created the first altcoin, Tonal Bitcoin, also known as TBC.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lee. I created Litecoin 2.5 years ago, about. Currently working at Coinbase.
I'm Ricky Robertson. I've created nothing. I'm a representative of NXT.
I'm Cecilia Olson. I'm a writer and an unlikely cryptocurrency fan.
Okay. A lot of people realize that alternative currencies. This is a lot of people would think that Bitcoin's an alternative currency, but in our world, we think Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency, and all others are alt currencies. So the first question to our panel: why an alt currency? Why not just Bitcoin?
The reason that I created Tonal Bitcoin was that Bitcoin is based around the decimal number system, whereas as a programmer, I especially prefer the base 16 systems, and Tonal is a base 16 number system. So what I did was I took the Bitcoin technology and I applied it to work with the base 16 number system instead.
So, I mean, the reason why there are alt currencies is because, well, one, it's so easy to create them, and two, people like choices. People like to play around with the Bitcoin code base, because Bitcoin is like a multi-billion-dollar market cap, so you can't really just screw around with the code base and see what happens. So, but with all currencies, you can, right? You can create one that's worth nothing, play around with the block times, or do something really drastic like the proof of stake or anything you want, and see what happens. So I think experimentation is one of the reasons why people create alt currencies, and just to create something and see if it would succeed and have value.
I think the reason for alt currencies is that Bitcoin is not perfect. In fact, Bitcoin has some serious flaws in it, in my opinion. That's why I did a lot of research on various currencies and decided the one I wanted to get involved in was NXT. It's a proof of stake coin rather than a proof of work. It does not use mining. If you do an in-depth investigation of what's going on with Bitcoin mining, there's exponential growth rate in the hash rate required, and exponential functions have a way of sneaking up on you. There will eventually come a point where they won't be able to make ASIC chips fast enough to continue the way it is, and at that point Bitcoin will have to change. When it changes, it will change into something like NXT is now.
I have my own mic now. I think people create alt currencies because they want to get rich. They've seen the success of Bitcoin and they're hoping to replicate it.
She's right.
I think it's a lot more similar of what how these guys put it. But also, many people don't want to identify or feel uncomfortable identifying with Bitcoin, and I am one of those people. I did not care about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin until Dogecoin came out. And then I was all for it. My boyfriend here, he gave me a big whack as a Christmas gift, as a joke, and I've been absolutely obsessed with it ever since. And so I think the great advantage to having alt currencies is that you can build communities around them, or the community's already there, which is a better idea, and you find something that community can use alt currencies for, and then create value that way.
Okay, just to know your audience, as a question for the audience, how many of you all have an alternate currency wallet? Okay,
Good for you.
Nearly everyone. Nearly everyone. How many of you have a Litecoin wallet? Dogecoin wallet? Next. I got a next.
You can go to newtonext.com and find your way.
Okay, just you and Ricky. Ricky didn't raise his hand, but I'm going to guess.
Yes, I do have one.
Yeah. So somebody have a coin that I didn't name. Okay. Name coin, right? Name coin.
You didn't name 250.
Yeah.
Keep going, man.
Yeah. I'm not going to go down the whole list. Okay. So with alternate currencies, there is certainly the idea that you're going to create a currency, but you're also able to create other functions. How important do you think other functions are to alt currencies?
It depends. One of the benefits of tonal Bitcoin is that it uses the same blockchain as regular Bitcoin. So it's pretty much completely compatible. But when you start adding other functions, you need an alternate blockchain, and then you have to convince people that whether yours is worth investing in or whether it's just going to be another pump and dump.
Well, if the alt currency doesn't really do anything different than what's already out there, then it's probably just a pump and dump. Someone who's just trying to get rich. I mean, there are some serious altcoins that are actually trying to do something different.
NXT.
And that's good to experiment something different. But if you're creating an altcoin just to change the name to something that's interesting and doing exactly the same thing, and just trying to get rich, then obviously that's not a good idea.
Yeah, I think that most of the altcoins out there, the vast majority are just clones of Bitcoin. Various new developers have this lady's idea of we can do this and get rich too. And they take the Bitcoin open source code, make some small modification to it, and away they go, which is also why they're so easy to get to. You can get to their wallet because their wallet's just a minor change. Next, which is the company, or coin rather, that I represent, does believe, getting back to your original question, that there's more to it than just currency that's involved. We are working on a number of functions, and that's why we dare to call ourselves a second generation cryptocurrency. The main thing we're working on is a peer-to-peer exchange with gateway functionality to all coins, Bitcoin, Doge, Litecoin, so that someone that owns Bitcoin will be able to open their next wallet, although we don't call it that, and then we'll be able to transfer Bitcoin onto a next coin as a colored coin and assign this single next coin as being 50 Bitcoins or 100 Bitcoins or 20 Litecoin or Zetacoin, Bitcoin, just assign it to next. And then you can find another user on our network that is interested in buying that, and you can turn around and sell it to them. And it's all cryptographically locked in place and certified and so forth. And what you've done is you've avoided central exchanges such as Mt. Gox. And we think that is probably going to be a pretty popular idea. And that is what we offer as an alternative function to coins. And we have many others as well, but I won't monopolize that. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I didn't understand most of what they were talking about.
Yay!
I'm just gonna so what people don't understand outside of these, you guys are in the inner circle. The people outside the inner circle do not care about the algorithm. They don't care about the blockchain. They don't care about any of that. The advantage you have of actually renaming a coin with the same technology is to avoid the stigma of things like Bitcoin. Like it or not, Bitcoin is scary. A lot of people are afraid of it. It's gotten a lot of negative press. But you take an algorithm similar to Litecoin, I believe is what Doge is based on, and rebrand it and associate it with a meme. Well, not even rebrand it. You start with the brand and then you invent the coin and attach it to a meme and it goes viral. Now what happens with that is that people aren't afraid of it. I've heard about Bitcoin for years. I thought it was creepy. And now Doge comes along, I want to be in it. I'm interested in more now learning more about what's going on in it. But most people just do not care about what's going on behind the currency, just like they don't care what's going on behind our economy with our dollar. So I think branding is almost everything.
She's right again.
Yeah, yes. Well, let's think that through, because I'm one of the technical developer, compiler guys, okay, and most of the rest of us are kind of technical. We don't tend to do marketing. We don't tend to evaluate the emotional feel of the coin. How many of you have been attracted to a altcoin because you felt there was an emotional connection you were making to this altcoin that you weren't making to Bitcoin? How many of you think that that affects you? Okay. Now, that's 4 or 5 or 6 people in a room where, generally speaking, most of us are on the autistic scale. Okay? I'll let that sink in for a second. Okay? I have to, because you're on the scale. Now, for those of you that didn't raise your hand, how many of you feel somewhat angered at altcoins sometimes? Some altcoin sometimes. Have you ever felt?
Ever, yes.
Ever?
Not currently. But
Not currently. Used to. A reformed person. So there's a few people. Okay, so the question becomes, for the panel, how do you think you can address the marketing emotional level of your altcoin relative to Bitcoin? How do you measure up if you've got a coin to defend? Go ahead.
I pretty much don't really try, because if other people don't use tonal Bitcoin, it's still usable for me. They can use regular Bitcoin and it works just fine. It's interoperable.
Well, marketing was actually really important. Like, one of the reasons why Litecoin succeeded is because of marketing. Like, I put it out there that Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold, and it actually resonated with people. People kind of understand the difference between silver and gold, and saw that Bitcoin is like gold, and why not also invest in silver? So that got them interested to check it out, and once they started playing around with it, they realized, wow, it's different, the transaction speed's faster, it feels more lightweight, and they got into it. So marketing definitely is important, and it's also a reason why Dogecoin is so successful. Like, Dogecoin is pretty much just a copy of Litecoin with very small changes. Other coins have been launched similar to Dogecoin with more changes, more interesting features, but never got caught on just like Dogecoin did. And those coins, because they lack the marketing, right? They're just one of hundreds of different coins. How do you differentiate yourself so that people actually try out your coin and realize how interesting it is? And so these days, I think marketing a new coin is really important.
Okay, well, let's test that. How many of you kind of remember the silver gold thing when you first heard about Litecoin? Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I have to raise my hand too. That's a really good point. You had a marketing tagline, and so far even Dogecoin doesn't quite touch Litecoin in the competition of altcoins.
What lies?
What's that?
What lies? Very agreed.
No, don't get me started.
Oh, okay.
Argument.
When we talk about the importance of marketing with Next, that definitely is a weak part of Next. Next is a very technical, it's a technical solution to a technical problem and done by technical people, and the marketing of it is very poor in my opinion, and I don't think anybody's going to shoot me for that. We talk about marketing strategies, and I think the one that resonates with everybody is the concept that Next is green. And the reason that Next is green is we don't go into this mentality of mining, and you need specialized mining rigs that use 350 watts and 1,000 watts and cost $2,000. And use $35,000 of electricity a day, which is what you calculate up to, and we don't have server farms in Iceland to use the cold air and the cheap hydropower and everything. I mean, that's nuts. Who in their right mind? It's like the United States is based on Saudi Arabian oil, and Bitcoin is based on Icelandic cold air.
Okay, wait. Let's test that. He said, who in his right mind would mine like that? Any miners?
Knowing
Okay.
the next alternative. Knowing the next alternative is, what, huh? Okay, the next alternative to that is we don't mine, and we don't need complicated computers to do that. We can run our entire backbone network on Raspberry Pis at the moment for 35 bucks a pop. And so we can put up, instead of $80 million worth, literally $80 million worth of mining gear, we can put up $35,000 worth of Raspberry Pis and run our entire network forever. And we don't have to worry about exponential hashing functions going up every month and every month and every month. And so we are quote unquote green. We don't need tens of millions of dollars worth of gear, and we don't need millions of dollars worth of electricity. We need little toy computers that they hand out to school kids in England.
Okay. Do you have anything to say? I'm not quite sure how you would.
Yeah, well,
Are
actually,
you kidding? She said the best stuff so far.
so what you're actually doing with your marketing is interesting, because Bitcoin, I don't know if you guys know, but you're a bunch of libertarians and narco-capitalists.
No.
And what you're doing is you are tapping the liberal market, and you are making a coin that is very friendly to vegans and other people, like the liberal market. And that's really, really smart, because they are probably the most adamantly against cryptocurrency. Just FYI, so good move. Yeah. The green coin.
Take that, guys. So look into Next. Next has these things that we appeal to vegans.
I'm not a vegan.
Yeah, well, when you change your logo from this kind of modern NXT sort of thing,
Yeah, that wasn't great. But
to a
little dog. We'd be
to a little sweet pea, and maybe a peach, then you're going.
We had a logo competition that did have a nice green leaf on it, and it lost. That was just the technical people that voted. So.
Okay, so we've kind of delved into the emotional side and the marketing side of alternative coins. You've got an audience that's all tied up into Bitcoin as well as altcoins. Okay, here's another question. How many of you guys, feel that Dogecoin does appeal to you?
That's it?
That's there. That's there. So okay, from the technical guys, why don't you attack this woman on the panel? Gang up. There's 4 of us, only 1 of her, and explain why the technical aspects of altcoin are more important than the marketing.
I have trouble believing that.
Depends on what your goals are.
We've got the tech part right. Why do we have to argue that? So,
Okay.
but I see what you're saying.
I mean, Dogecoin technically is pretty much very similar to Litecoin and Bitcoin. So there's no technical attack on Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin succeeded in getting community interest. I mean, in the end, if no one's using your coin, it doesn't matter how awesome technically you are. It doesn't matter, right? So if you manage to convince the whole world that your coin is interesting and everyone's using it, then that's all that matters.
I would disagree. I would think that if all you have is marketing, then in the end, all it's going to be is pump and dump. You need to have a technical advantage, some innovation to make it last long term.
Okay, so we're feeling that the technical is important, but it sounds like we're agreeing that the marketing is maybe the more critical component to alternative coin adoption. So here's the question. It's not just alternative coins, and it's not just Bitcoin. It's cryptocurrency in general. There's a big picture here of cryptocurrency in general. Do altcoins help the adoption of cryptocurrencies to progress, or is there, do they hinder, or is it a mixed bag? and try to keep answers short. Go ahead.
I think that it's really independent of the coin. It's the application or the implementation. I mean, something that's on a smartphone that lets somebody go buy a candy bar, they don't care what's behind it. They don't care if it's gourd, trading gourds, you know, or a code or whatever. If they can use their smartphone to buy a candy bar, they're happy.
I'll jump in here. So I think that alt currencies, I say Doge. How many people say Doge? Doge? Okay. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I call it Doge.
Okay. I'll say Doge. Okay. So Doge in particular I think it's going to be very, very helpful to alt currencies and Bitcoin, because I'm hearing here every day Bitcoin is the future. But what nobody's really talking about is how to get kids interested. And since Dogecoin has infiltrated social media, Dogecoin is most likely going to be the first crypto experience or exposure that teens and tweens have, not to mention college students. And that's a huge, huge market. So if you get them started on, Doge, it's the starter currency. Oh, great, that's going to get in the media and then whatever. Okay, so it's the starter currency. You can get them educated and started in cryptocurrencies, and they will naturally, as they mature, they will get interested into Litecoin, Bitcoin, and other currencies.
Excellent.
I think that, so Dogecoin brings a lot of consumer interest. It can get people like you interested in cryptocurrency before they were intimidated by it. And then afterwards they will learn about Bitcoin and Litecoin and learn about everything about cryptocurrency, which is good. And other alternative currencies, the experimentation part of it is also good for Bitcoin. Alternative currencies can experiment on something, and if it really is successful and it's easy to merge into Bitcoin, and it will help out Bitcoin in the long run. One thing that separates Litecoin from all the other alternative currencies is Litecoin actually has a really strong development team that actually contributes code upstream that helps out Bitcoin. Recently, we've helped Bitcoin with a lot of the security changes, security updates. We've been able to test Bitcoin software first before it actually released onto the Bitcoin, before the Bitcoin client actually updated and released it. So the Litecoin helps Bitcoin with the testing. Also, early developer Warren Togami also worked on a Bitcoin client called Bitcoin OMG, which has all the latest and greatest Bitcoin stuff that hasn't been released yet. And people running that client is actually helping testing the next version of Bitcoin, which is really helpful. So I think having like a strong development team behind a coin that actually helps out with the Bitcoin development is really important, because we can test out different things, try out different things, and not work with Bitcoin and not compete.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of benefits from the rare altcoins that actually do some innovation and development. Most of them that are just rename and change a few variables, however, give Bitcoin a bad name because someone's going to invest their money in it and then lose their money, and they're going to think, well, Bitcoin's all just the same thing, and assume that Bitcoin is a scam just because whatever altcoin they invested in failed.
Okay, that's about the time we have for the panel, and the conference puts a lot of importance on your questions. This is your opportunity to ask a question. You must come to the microphone to ask your question, because we are on tape. And wow, we have questions. All right, very good. Now we're gonna keep the questions fast and furious, okay? All right.
Just ask a question.
Hello, my name is Sabu. What do you think of MEZA coin?
Anybody?
Never heard of it.
Is that the one that's Native American adoption? I think it's an interesting new one. I'm not sure why they didn't just adopt Bitcoin.
Okay.
I think I've never heard of it, but it's definitely the next biggest thing.
My name is Kanan. Now I have to confess that I don't have any alt currencies and I know nothing about it. I do have Bitcoin. And so my question is there anywhere I can go where I can find out about these different currencies without
CoinMarketCap.com.
coinmarketcap.com. And I have a question also. It sounds like you're each saying that your currency is very similar to Bitcoin.
Not me.
Okay. However, I've heard that, for example, Bitcoin is deflationary and that there's only going to be a certain number of them. And I've heard that
that's wrong.
Excuse me. And I've heard that a lot of them are inflationary. Is that the case?
My opinion is that Bitcoin and its clones are inflationary in our lifetimes because they're generating new coins every 10 minutes.
Well,
for Bitcoin.
they're monetarily inflation, but
right.
not price inflation.
Monetary, well.
Yeah, and Dogecoin doesn't actually have a coin limit. Let's go.
Okay. There's also
Hi.
Litecoin, which has.
My name is Jay, and I am a local Dogecoin miner. And I just wanted to add something that during the past few days, I had the opportunity to wear the Bitcoin mascot costume all over Austin. And thank you. And on Saturday night, we went to Lorde concert. For those of you that don't know, Lorde, it's a pop band, you know? And I had the chance to run around with a lot of teenagers, 15, 16-year-olds. And one of the things that I heard, and this is a true story, they say, Bitcoin, is that like Dogecoin? And so, it's just, that's one thing that I wanted to say. And the other thing is that I posted a few pictures on Reddit, and one of the things that happened is that donations started to come into my account because Reddit is one of those communities that are very, very active on Dogecoin. And I would say that Dogecoin, it's a coin based on generosity. You know, like you don't see that happening in any other coin. Like here's 100 Dogecoin, here's 500 Dogecoin. You don't see that on Bitcoin or Next. So what are your thoughts about that? Generosity in a coin.
That was how Bitcoin was in 2011.
Oh, and it was cheap.
The thing is, people are generous because it's not worth anything, which is what happened with Bitcoin and Litecoin early on. So if Dogecoin actually succeeds and become worth something, you'll find out that your users aren't so generous anymore.
Next does have faucets set up where new users can go get coins for free just to get them started.
Okay. My name is Caleb, and with Script A6 coming out, do you foresee any of the hundreds of Script altcoins making any changes to memory hardness?
Irrelevant to Next.
I mean, there's already a lot of coins that are experimenting with different memory hardness for Script, or even just totally different proof of work algorithms. So the Script ASICs that are coming out are targeting Litecoin Script because that's the most profitable or the largest community. So when that happens, it will increase the hashing power of the Litecoin Script network, but it won't affect the ones that aren't using the same kind of script or different proof of work.
Hey, my name is Garrison. I'm an altcoin trader. The reason Dogecoin is so big is because, well, I was in English 101, and while I had a socialist teacher, he did bring up an important point on Aristotle's pathos, logos, and ethos. And the reason Dogecoin appeals and it has a community is because it hits the pathos, and it hits people emotional. And while I'm not emotional to any coin, it does bring people into the community, and it does do work for Bitcoin. So go ahead and listen to the community, and when it's going up, you buy the Doge, and when it's at the top, you drop it, and then do it again.
First off, don't buy the Doge ever. There's no limit on it. It's a scam. Thank you. Second off, two different coins I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about. One is called Hunter Coin. Anyone familiar? Pretty cool little gaming sort of concept. The gaming play is crap. It doesn't really work, whatever. But the concept is cool, and all these other mechanisms built into it I could talk about. Next question is about Aurora Coin. Very interesting coin here. That's
very interesting coin.
In case anyone doesn't know, is trying to be the national coin of Iceland, where they're giving away 50% of the pre-mine to every single person in Iceland. I don't know the logistics of how they're actually going to pull that off, but that's the theory behind it. I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
That's really interesting. It's not officially sponsored by the Icelandic government, but there is an Icelandic citizen who is doing it and thinks that it can. Iceland's had a lot of problems. They got clobbered back in 2008, and the banking system still isn't back right. I mean, they've had to reprint their money and take 2 zeros off of it. And it's an interesting concept. I think that there will be a huge drop in it. They're not going to drop it to the Icelandic citizens until the end of this month. And in the meantime, there's only a small amount of it and that's in circulation to non-Icelandic people. And they've run the price up really, really high.
Sure, I'm not really interested in the price, just the concept of that. And
the concept of a national the concept of a
like
national cryptocurrency, this is the chance for that to occur. And Iceland is a good test case for it because they have a small, isolated group of people, 300,000 people on an island with cold air where they can mine it. So,
okay, I would like to point out though that there's no precedence. There is precedence to this. That credit cards were adopted when banks mailed them to customers in the 1960s, already activated with no application required. You would just get a credit card and it would be in the mail and you could go use it and buy gas. And it was just done, and they already had your address, they already had all your information in your bank account.
And so, those were we enslaved.
And once the credit card system was completely adopted primarily for buying gas, then they passed a law that prohibited sending credit cards to customers without an application and a signature. And so it was really exactly the scheme of dumping a system on the people until they were addicted to using it, and then saying, oh, we're done, and now you will do it the right way. So there is precedence for that. Okay.
I think the concept of Aurora coin is interesting, where you pass off the coin so every Icelander gets a few coins. But I think the execution is really poor. They shouldn't have launched the coin so that people could trade on it before they gave it to everyone. So what happened right now is people are saying, oh wow, the market cap of Aurora coin is larger than Litecoin, because they're taking the total population of coins, which is 10.6 million, times like $80, which is like $800 million market cap, which is larger than Litecoin, but it's not really the true market cap because what's tradable is only 100,000 coins. So this misleads people to think that, wow, this coin is really awesome, people should put their money into it and speculate it. What actually would happen is when they start dumping the coins and giving the coins to the Icelanders, people are going to sell because they're going to have $3,000 worth of coins each. And they're like, why am I going to keep this coin? I'm just going to sell it for US dollar. The price will crash so hard. It's going to be the most spectacular crash ever.
Okay, wait. Everybody, we're going to have to give them a hand because I wasn't watching the clock and I actually let this run over. This was an exciting panel. I really enjoyed it. I hope you will join me in applause for these guys. These guys are available to answer all of your questions now, okay? And I got personal promises from them that they'll stay here for hours if they need to.
Everybody go to mynext.org. NXT.org.